One.
I want to practice with some of our cameras. I think this is a good start. Welcome to Architecture Den.
Oh, we're episode 3.
And it's freezing.
Yeah,
It's
can
freezing.
we just talk about the temperature?
Well, yeah. I mean, we built this in the summer, and it was breezy and fantastic. And it's now the start of December, and we've got one electric heater. I'm going to get another. I think I'm going to get another. Yeah.
Bill's in charge of the cameras.
Yeah. Look forward to a lot of shots of me.
The room is about 100 times larger than the heater. I'm no heating specialist, but...
Yeah, but we've insulated it with... We'll freshen up. Nice hot cup of coffee.
Oh, right, give me the control of the camera. Come on.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
You can't be trusted.
Yeah, look.
You can't be trusted. Are you in charge?
I'm in charge, and
It's going to drive me absolutely bonkers if you don't concentrate on that.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
I'm doing it. And camera 3.
Okay, so if you're listening to this, episode 1, episode 11, I should say, is out. Episode 12 is out. This is episode 13.
I'll give you some.
And since we did episode 12, we've been busy. We've been very busy.
Oh, we've had a good time. We went to Leicester to speak to the architecture school up there, which was absolutely fantastic. I'm trying.
Do you just want to? You can do everything else. I'll just do that.
Yeah, okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
I
And then you'll.
do 2 things at once.
Okay, and right. Okay, I'm back in the game. Okay, right, go. So where were we last week?
We went to Leicester, and it was our first UK tour. We went to Leicester and we went to Newcastle, and it was fantastic. And thank you to everyone who looked after us there. I guess that's the main thing, isn't it?
We have to name check some people, don't we? So in Leicester, we had Connor and Moesha,
Mm-hmm.
who are our lovely hosts. They picked us up from the train station, gave us a little tour around rainy, dark Leicester, which just wasn't the best way for us to enjoy Leicester.
Have you ever been to Leicester?
I've never been to Leicester.
Well, how do you know? That might have been it at its prime. But it was amazing, and they were so nice. So thank you very much for looking after us. You came, met us from the station, took us for drinks, put us back on. We then got on the wrong train and went to...
Oh, I'd forgotten you did that. So, you seemed to... we got on the wrong train. You went, Ben, we've messed up. I was like, I'm not 100% sure we messed up.
You get... Everyone has free will to get on whichever train they want. But it was... Leicester University is brilliant. I mean, there were some really amazing buildings there. I was quite impressed by the architecture.
I've realised that when you're paying that amount of tuition fee, I can see where it goes. I mean, the building's amazing. Unis have got better since we were at uni, I think. Do you think?
I thought...
Many years ago.
I was really proud to go to Newcastle and see how amazing all the students were, how great the facilities were. I thought... This is better than when I was here. I'm pleased to be associated with this.
So, because you're a Newcastle alumni.
Oh, I love it. I loved going back. I mean, we had fun in Leicester, but going back to your old university where you haven't been for 20 years, and you get tingles. And again, Ethan and Joe were our hosts there, and they really looked after us, and it couldn't have been better. It was so fun. Everything's changed though. You don't.
Oh God, do you know what? For everyone listening, we go to Leicester. It's interesting. We've never been before. We go to Newcastle. It was like Bill was like, "Oh, that dumpster wasn't there when I was here. It's also lovely. That's the kebab shop we used to go to." I don't know. I sound very American then. You were so excited.
Yeah, every detail.
Absolutely
the big
loved
market.
it.
We went around. Can we say that the only negative was we went to see John Robbins, who's a brilliant podcaster and comedian, with Joe and Ethan and loads of their mates. And then we were old and tired, and after our lovely curry afterwards went home. And they went and met John Robbins in the pub, and
I was
trying to be brave
devastated.
about it.
I was so gutted. We were like, do you know, it'd be the best evening if we went out afterwards and we met John Robbins.
Can you imagine how meta that is? We do a podcast, he does one, didn't happen.
He was brilliant though. If you've not seen John Robbins, he was absolutely brilliant. Cannot recommend him highly enough. Can we get him on the podcast?
Yeah. After that, I thought he might come. Once you see someone and you just realise they're a person that's willing to go to Newcastle as well, I thought he might come on.
So Joe and Ethan, so jealous you got to meet him. So jealous.
Well, what did you think going back to university?
I couldn't believe just how, I don't know, how much, how much love he had for the university. I think he was brilliant. 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 I think he was good universities have got. Like, but then I went to Nottingham. Nottingham was fine, but it didn't quite have those facilities. I mean, like Leicester had like a full-on mega workshop. I mean, it was amazing. So they had, it was in a skyscraper, like a tall building.
Yeah.
That was Nottingham was very kind of like, we had a studio, a little bit like this, that you could paint the walls and do whatever you wanted to, and it was really good.
Yeah, it was that, and the fact that fashion and media and architecture and arts were all in one. You know, they all had studios across from each other, so it was very collaborative. I was also quite surprised that lots of people studying architecture were quite open about, oh, I'm doing this, but I'm probably going to go into politics, or I'm going to go and be a teacher, or I'm going to do something else, which was great. It was seen as this starter degree for loads of other things. I don't remember anyone talking like that when
No.
When I was at uni.
I found it quite humbling, if I'm honest. Only because my
These were
level,
good students as
yeah,
well.
they I was about to say they were exceptionally hardworking.
Did you meet any lecturers off the station when you were?
No, I did not. No, I had a very, very different experience. I wasn't quite as maybe dialed in is the word that I would use. I was a little more. No, they went out and had fun, but they just worked really hard as well.
Yeah.
I was very much like go out, have fun, and then moan you were too hungover the next day.
We didn't see the Ben Stewarts of Newcastle, though. They wouldn't be there on a rainy Tuesday evening.
I can't believe we didn't go out.
We did. We went for curry.
Yeah. We went out.
Yeah,
We stayed
with
out
2
till
drinks.
11. We went crazy.
Oh, I'm so tired. The longest day ever.
So we had what? Last week was all about your slides for the
Yeah, I'm
for the
sorry about that.
presentation.
That wasn't in.
No, that was the. So we want people to find out a bit more about us. So the idea was that we would have, your slides. You go through, it's a bit your personality, and then we do mine. But we ended up like having so much fun doing yours that we kind of so we moved on to the next episode. So you're gonna are we gonna go? We're not gonna go through every slide. Just
no, but this is the bones of what you showed. How did you think your talk at Leicester went?
do you know what's funny? I should have done the Leicester talk in Newcastle and the Newcastle talk in Leicester is how I felt it went. I don't know how you felt.
Are you going to tell the listeners what someone said to us after?
So
I did and ah about whether to bring this up.
Well, we should say that this is an outlier to the students that we met, right? So we did our presentation and everyone asked loads of questions. They were really nice. And the second they found out you did CVs at our practice, they were very much like, they just hammered you with questions. And we wanted open dialogue. That was the best part. And then at the end, someone made a beeline for us from the back of the room and just kind of said, yeah, I'd kind of heard all of that.
Yeah, I'm kind of a part two. I knew all of that. You said you didn't say any of the things I wanted you to say.
What was her killer line?
I can't remember.
Didn't she say something like, essentially, I'd kind of heard all that, but it was so quiet in here. I was too embarrassed to leave.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what she said. She said, "Sure." My friend said, "Should we go?" But I said it'd be too embarrassing to leave. Wow. I mean, that was the first thing someone said when we'd finished talking. Yeah.
Do you know what was good though? I mean, we know we like our egos straight every now and again, and then Connor and Moesha got us to like sign a book along with some
they only did that because
they knew
that
we'd be
lady
famous.
had been so rude to us. But I should say everyone else was so engaged and funny and generous. But it was really funny.
It was just great fun, and then we went out for curry afterwards, and that was great. And then
then we went to Nuneaton on the wrong train and got home at 1 a.m.
And then the next day, straight away, we're back on the road again.
Yeah, really good. And we sat opposite an amazing man who...
This is on the train on the way up.
He was really ill and old, and it wasn't sort of funny, but he was incredibly like posh and kept asking us in very flowery language to kind of help us with things. And then he'd gone out a penknife and balanced it on its end on the middle of this wobbly train table, drank about 4 whiskies and a bottle of rosé, and then would like get up and stagger.
We'd have to help him up.
Yeah, I can imagine him impaling himself on this penknife, and then everyone saying, "What on earth happened?" And I say, "Well, he balanced his penknife," and it just sounding the most implausible sequence of events.
It was just like, picture us on the train. It's a really quiet carriage, and then we think we've got a table to ourselves, and then suddenly, This man sits next to us, and then we've got our laptop out trying to rejig our presentation to try and put a few different slides in, and just like out of the corner of our eye behind the screen, we just see like whiskey bottle after whiskey bottle appear, penknife on the table. What do you say? Oh, hello, darling.
He kept saying, what do you think of the Azuba?
Azuba train, yeah.
Azuba, and it was the new train. But we finished the presentation, and this is it. So do you want to talk through it?
Yes. So we thought this would be a little bit like a little bit of my slides, and then next week's episode is going to be more about questions and answers. But we thought this one would be just very quickly. We talk around this. So my first slide, basically in the background, you can see. We thought like, how could we inject personality into our presentations? Right. It's all about us. It's all about like what we've learned, and. This was the presentation I gave at Leicester. So Ethan and Joe, if you're watching, this is the alternative version that we did. But it was cool.
This was the show, the presentation we gave before a woman said it was awful, and we rejigged it and did something different at Newcastle. But this is a student project of yours.
Yeah, this is my first student project, and the idea was that this would be identity. That would be the big thing that I said. And what I wanted to talk about was just like the best projects that I ever saw at uni had an element of someone's personality, and that was so unique that if you copied it, everyone would be like, well, you're just doing what the other person did. And this was the first time I actually think I did quite well at uni, and I really dialed into it, and it was really good. And so that was
what's the message for that?
Go put your personality into a project, but not like, oh, well, I love this architect. It's like, no, do something that is so uniquely you that it's a bit of a gamble. And it'll pay off handsomely because you'll have a really unique project and people love it.
Good.
And then the next slide was this is if my friend Tom's listening. This is we did Skyscraper in fifth year, but we worked in teams. That was I
guess most people are listening to this. So this is a picture of a generic wobbly parametric architect.
Whoa.
Skyscraper.
This is a carbon neutral energy tower. Thank you, Bill. Which I won an Arup Sustainability Award
Not
for.
an inhabited bridge.
Yeah. But it was all about working in teams, and I didn't realise that people at uni do that a lot more. But we first, second, and third year never worked in teams. Fifth year worked in a team with like 4 people. I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant, and that's what I said in the lecture. It was like working in teams is fantastic because you can generate so much more enthusiasm and work. And if you get the right personality types, one person picks you up and the other one's down, and vice versa, and it just works so well.
It's hard though, isn't it? I mean, working in teams is hard. You've got it doesn't feel as fast. You get the better results, but it feels like a big personal compromise, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's actually, so yesterday I did a team training day with my team, but it was all about the Myers-Briggs test, which is something that we want to get the woman on who did it because they're going to do a personality test, and me and Bill can do it live on air. But it was really good, and it's all about personality types and people working with the different.
What were you?
I don't want to ruin it, Bill, but I was on the extrovert side.
Get out.
Yeah, I know. So
did you get a percentile?
Yes, I was in the 50% percentile for
that's all right.
Extrovert. That's all
That's
right.
in the middle.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So that was good. So we want to get, that's another podcast. But that was all about working in teams and stuff. So I thought it was really good. And then we were talking to university students, and the big thing for us was, what do you do beyond university? That, I would say, was everyone's biggest question, was like, how do we get a job?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? What are you looking for? And then you discussed, I look at the CVs and look at future candidates, and they pounced on you.
It was a bit that, and it was also, what is it? What am I going to be doing? Like, what actually work am I going to be doing? What's going to be expected of me? There was quite a lot of, I carried loads of anxiety about, I don't have any technical skills. I'm just going to be found out on day one. And I think being able to reassure people that you're there to help make decisions with other people, and we're hiring for potential rather than for particular things. How did you feel when you left university?
So that was one of the things. I literally only got 2 job offers. This is just after the recession.
2?
I sent out 30 CVs.
Zero, part zero.
But there were 2 interviews, and one was at Foster's and one was at our current practice. They were the 2 people that gave me interviews. And obviously I chose this one. But yeah. And then, so we were saying, like, what should you look for at a practice after university? And the idea was you should be looking for an environment that's inspiring, money, just loads of money. And you get experiences that you'd never get anywhere else. So like small practices are good, but big practices give you a breadth of range of stuff, and they feel like quite a natural extension of university, I felt. So
What big practices?
yeah.
Because they're a bit soft. They're also quite. I went to a small practice and I learnt loads. And you work on something that hopefully is going to get built, and you work at close quarters. But they're pretty intense. There were 4 of you in a WeWork in Farnham or whatever, and you just have to like get on with it. And big practices, there are lots of other young people, and it's a big party, isn't it?
What so like, if you had your time again, you do the same? You'd still work at small practice?
I'd worked harder at university, so I would have had more options finishing my degree. Probably no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done anything different. I just I see that there's a whole raft of you in a big practice, and it's helpful to make friends. Often you're in a new city, or you're trying to understand a profession, and having loads of other people your age you can talk to and say, is this normal? Was quite good. But their small practices are quite fun as well. You get to build things. I did mine like part 3. You learn a lot. You get a lot of responsibility.
So so for those listening, the image I had in the background was me stood on the top of a construction site. This is like just as they topped out on a building that I worked on, and it was like 100 meters up in the sky, and I was very excited, and it was quite cool. But the idea was that beyond university, like the 3 E's, environment, experience, and encouragement, would be the thing that I would suggest. So the next slide is that
Encouragement.
Who's that? That's encouragement. That was the last thing you should look for. Like, the practice we work at have been brilliant at kind of giving you enough responsibility that you feel engaged with, but also like, supporting you in these big meetings with big clients and stuff.
Do you think we encouraged our student cohort that we spoke to last week?
What encouraged them in?
Yeah, I had some really nice emails afterwards saying that it had been inspiring but quite accessible as well, and we feel that middle ground of what it's going to be like when you leave university, what it's like working, but we're not there talking about high art. This is my vision, and the kind of Renzo shtick. Just quite practical stuff about how these buildings came to be and what people's jobs would be, and how to build a personal brand, and what the options are.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So when we did our presentation, something we were really keen on doing is ask questions. So this was kind of particularly evident when we're in Newcastle, was we were both walking around, and there's maybe 60 or 70 people, I don't know, and they just started asking questions, and once one person did, another did, and they suddenly realized we were so open to questions.
What did people ask about?
What did they ask about? That was it. So the next episode will be all about these questions, but a lot of them were like, how does it feel working for the 1%? Like, you're working in these big buildings. How do you square yourself? How do you square yourself with the sustainability aspect? Like, what's the kind of male-female divide at work? Like diversity, equality. They had just, I don't know. I guess like at uni, it feels you're so in this like little bubble, that the idea that you then leave and go into the big wide world is kind of like...
And that is framed as well by what you read on, what our press are talking about, like pay, like gender pay gap, or diversity, or, lots of overprivileged white guys running all the big practices, why you get certain demographics who can run a 7-year course and not have to get a job and all of that. So there was quite a lot about that. There was a lot on, we'd presented 2 tall buildings, and I think we didn't really present loads of other museums or heritage buildings, and maybe next time we can talk a bit about that. But I thought it was so friendly and warm. And as the person giving the talk, what you can sometimes think is, they are really quiet. Do they hate this? And then at the end you realise people were just really listening and hungry for content. I don't know, I've never had people listening intently to what I've said before. So it was really, I thought it was really good. And it was really nice to hang out afterwards, because it's then difficult to fake if it's gone really badly.
Yeah. Well, you asked like, how did I feel? It was humbling, just because I remember doing these presentations. I remember watching people come in, like I guest tutors and architects, and you were just like, what they do seems so far away, and I still don't really feel any different to how I felt as a student. I mean, that image in the background, so like on the right, I've got like me when I joined Make, and I look about 12. I look so young creatively, I didn't feel like that. But like, I look at that and I think, no wonder they questioned my experience level when I was on site.
Why have you got these guys?
You're like, oh, Jesus. And then, so the next slide was like professional experience. We were talking about, the positives of like working at big practice. You had all these experiences, but then I've worked at like maybe 3 projects really at Make, and I've been there for 9 years or whatever. So the benefits are you work on these mega projects, but some of my friends at smaller practices have worked on maybe 20 or 30 projects, but you can't point to those projects that they've worked on, I should say. But you can to these. There's a kind of a prestige that goes along with them.
So if you were going to look back on young Ben, leaving Nottingham, would you have chosen this type of architecture and this type of career, or is it completely serendipitous to landing in a particular practice, them saying this is the job you're working on? Because I think for most of us, that's how it is. And then that's your experience. And then you like the culture and you make some friends and you've kind of broken the back of that and you kind of get on with it. I mean, so much of it is just good luck or bad luck, or
it's so true. It's like the window of opportunity opens for you. I mean, you're on the side course that you're doing, you've had to think, 5 years time, what would that be like? And that question I've never really had an answer for. So I've always just gone with that short term. Well, this feels right. This feels good. There's an opportunity for me here. I should go and do it. And being at a big practice was like, there's hundreds of things I can do. I was on these crazy projects at the beginning. How do you remember? We both joined around the same time. We're both on this project. Yeah, it was cool. So I don't know what I want to do next. I just keep doing what feels right at any given time.
One of the things that changes is when you're a bit younger, you just have to say yes for everything. Yes, I'll go for that. I'd like to go to that show. Yes, I'd like to be part of that team. Yes, I'll help with that. But actually, as you get, once you've done it for a bit, you've got to say, no, I won't do that so that I can do that. And you've got to start like choosing a route. And I think about it and it's like, well, maybe that isn't an age thing. Maybe that's just what happened to me. Whereas some people actively said, you know what, I don't want to do that project and I'm going to go and work for them, or I want to work in the public sector, or I don't believe in that. And maybe there is a strength of like early making active decisions about where you want to go, even if the price is you're going to look for work for another few months.
Yeah, that's again, this is this whole image in the background, which is like, professional practice. I would, when we were talking to those students, what was amazing was like, they were so, when you're a student, you love all the texture and concrete and design. And then suddenly you get to our level and it's about like client and building client relationships and ensuring your team have everything they need and the resources. And there's like a real fun to that as well. And so like, it just seemed funny that like the actual like material and design that you do seems such a small part now. And then actually like what we do is like trying to manage 50 people at like a consultant team.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And there was there were people who are, natural architects, I would say, technically strong, good graphic skills so they can explain their ideas. And you might think as verbal communicators, we're a bit lost. And those skills come into play a bit later on. So you might find that you don't have the kind of perfect skills when you're leaving university or even part 2 and they fall in line. Or what happens quite a lot is being technically very strong can be a slight capping or limiting factor when you realize, I don't want to be doing animations when I'm 50 or whatever.
That's so true. We work with, we've worked with so many people and, people accelerate at different times. When you first join and you're amazing at Revit or you're amazing at renders, you suddenly surge ahead and everyone's like, wow, look what he's doing. And you're like, just there, like, I can't do that. And then suddenly you have to start presenting to these big, client presentations. And suddenly some of those guys maybe aren't as articulate and suddenly you fall into that role and suddenly you surge past them. So it's quite good at kind of
surging.
There's there is a lot of surging.
Yeah. Oh.
Shall I talk about this one?
Yeah, what's this?
This one, we both touched on this one. So this slide in the background I've just called it Keep Learning. But again, one of the great things about being at big practice is that you have so many experiences. Like, especially, we chatted to Ethan and Joe and Moesha and Connor, and they'd organise like these amazing architects to come up and us. It was amazing. But it was really cool. And, they put so much effort in, but, the universities that they're at give them all this exposure to other stuff. So this slide is in the background is actually, it's called Keep Learning, but it's all about maybe 3 years ago, I did another podcast, a podcast that was maybe like a long form chatting interview one. And our practice were really supportive. So that kind of image in the middle is actually what is now our medical room. But at the time, they let me put a recording studio in there. It was absolutely brilliant.
It's sort of about those side. It came up again in Newcastle. These side projects are the things that really define you as well. So there are lots of architects or designers or urbanists. Is it speaking Spanish or having a podcast or being passionate about ceramics or some niche piece of expertise or passion? Just differentiates you and will definitely feed into your world. And I think that people are better at that now than they were when we were younger. You'll be like, what? You're a potter. But now we have people that do kind of 4.5 days so that they can take their hobby slightly more seriously and sell it and exhibit it and take it on the road.
Exactly. But it leads to so many other things. I think, so that the 3 images in the background, the one on the left, I just thought it was interesting that I had experience of so many people that we got to talk to. So the Create More podcast, I got to meet all these people and chat to them, and the practice that we are as a platform gave me access to all these people. And the guy on the left is like a guy called Scroobius Pip, who runs the Distraction Pieces podcast. And I emailed him, and then he's like, yeah, you should do a podcast. There's Why Wouldn't You? And I was like, oh, how inspiring. A really famous, interesting, cool person emailed back. And I was like, so excited. And then I ended up like designing his recording studio, his house for free. And he let me interview him for the podcast, and it was really cool. And then like our practice let me set up a recording studio. So we would do our Friday live talks, and I'd get interesting people in, like people from Factory 15, like they do the animation guys. And then they would come and I would interview them in this room afterwards. And it was
people might not know who that is. What's that?
Kibwe is one of the directors at Factory 15, who are like an animation studio, and he did this amazing university project called Robots of Brixton. And at the time, it was like when animation was still quite new, and it was really like, it was quite dramatic and it was quite aggressive in its style. And he was fascinating. He set up Factory 15 with a few of his friends from, I think it was Unit 15 at the Bartlett. And now they do these amazing visualizations. And it was at the time, there was a Guinness advert in Africa. And he did this advert, and he went out to, I can't remember where he went, like Nigeria or Ghana or something. And he filmed it all in these slums and got these amazing dance crews. And I remember thinking, man, he's only like 5 years older than me. And he's like just gone and done these amazing stuff. Did a music video with Katy Perry.
But that's amazing. And it's a digital output architecture. So you can just start it with 3 mates and, a load of kit, admittedly. But there's no reason that you shouldn't. And what you might not realize if you're a student is you have a competitive advantage in that you have time, and people that are in working life, I want to set up a podcast or do an animation or learn a skill that they don't do. It's quite difficult to carve out that time and train up. Whereas when you're at university, you're being encouraged to explore a particular niche or use certain kit or reach out to people using the university brand. So there's no reason that you shouldn't be a good enough animator to go for it the moment you walk out the door, really.
It's all about communication, I've realized. So that was one of the things that was, I've not done that many lectures. So, maybe I joked about the other one, but it was just,
Did you do your power standing?
Yeah, sorry, I should do, yeah. So this is how you stand.
I 2 days before I'd gone on a course about this kind of thing, and I was practicing my power breathing and my sort of pelvic grounding.
And didn't I never hear the end of it?
It was good though. Like there's this technique where you breathe in, and then you just pinch your forefinger and thumb at the very top of the breath, let it out, and then do it again. It's about owning the space.
So imagine that you're on the tube right now. You're on the tube. You stood up, stand up, chest forward. Come on, do it.
I wouldn't do it on the tube.
Why not?
Oh, someone else is on the tube.
Yeah.
I just think,
If you're listening to this right now, stand up. Take a deep breath. Widen your arms.
It's really good though. If you've got something to think about, like don't skip your eyes around the audience, but hold a few people's eyes, and it just focuses you. I thought it was absolutely great. Anyway, I was testing some of it out.
But it was quite a fun process because Bill was literally like, yeah, you should like not look around, do that. And it was like, okay, I'll do that. And you get to try them literally the next day. And it was quite a fun little process. But it did feel like we were on tour, didn't it?
Yeah, we want to do it again. Like next year, if you're listening to this and you're in an architecture school and you would like us to come and speak, we will.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
it was
I think
just
we should
so
bunch
much
them up
fun.
Into a week.
Lads on tour.
Yeah, yeah.
But we like one of
Great
the
show.
things. Yes, if you want to know what our resume is, but we like it was the questions part that I think people really clued into, especially after the Newcastle one. We had loads of people come up and say, "I don't know, I could just ask you any question," and they just started getting more and more kind of more and more involved, these questions.
Are there any more? Oh, was that the
Oh
end of it?
yeah, oh yeah. What's that?
Oh.
So the next part of this, so on the kind of keep learning side of these slides, obviously people had known us at these universities from the podcast we do from Architecture Den. So I thought it'd be fun just to kind of, we showed them, everything starts from something. I can feel my leg twitching. I'm so cold. Okay, so
I thought you meant excited.
So this image in the background, for those of you listening, this was the very first time that I sat down with Bill and I was like, Bill, I think we should. I think you and I'd be great doing a podcast. You should come and sit down. And I set all the kit up in your study, and it was really, really good fun. And we had like a 2-hour long chat. Was this the one your brother was there as well?
Yeah, it was good. And then Liz knocked over some wine, and it ended up in. Yeah, it was good.
And it's kind of that's ballooned massively into what we're doing now, and it's been really good fun.
It has been fun, and some of the people we met, Joe and Ethan, taking this spirit, have started recording a podcast, or so they claimed in a message to us. And so, if you've got one, guys, stick it out. We want to plug it and go get them. I think it'd be fantastic.
So then this is a great photo in the background. So I thought the reason I showed this photo was like it felt very kind of. It felt like mine and your relationship at the moment. So for those listening, I'll describe it to you. Basically, what it is, it's Bill riding his bike that's normally designed for his 2 children that he takes to school. Yep. I'm sat on the back carrying large quantities of electrical equipment, and I'm hanging precariously off the back. And Bill's just charging along, and I'm just following blindly.
What a metaphor for this. Oh, that's good. I like that, going mobile.
Here we go. Go back. So this slide is this room, the room we're in right now, before we'd done anything. So before it got painted, before it got stripped out. I'm just looking around. We've come a long way.
Yeah, and now it's winter.
I've realised, I haven't told this story. I bled for this podcast.
Oh my God. I wasn't even here. This is the one I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I got a call from Lucy saying, Bill, where are you? I was like, I'm at work. She's like, Ben's passed out on the floor of the studio. I'm like, what? Yeah, he's severed his hand with a saw and he's just collapsed. What do you want me to do? I'm like, is he all right? And you're like, yeah, he looks okay. I'm like, how badly is it bleeding? He's like, not that badly.
It was so embarrassing. I mean, I was desperate to finish this room. We were so close to finishing, and we have these huge tables in here, and I just needed to drill some holes in the middle of the table. So all I had to do, I finished work bang on time. I raced over here. Bill wasn't even here. I came in. I was so excited. Now, I'm going to try and picture this for people listening. I had to drill a 1-inch diameter hole, and you need like a circular saw drill, and it's got a little center drill in the middle. And now Bill said, he kept moaning at me before, measure twice, drill once or whatever.
You're so slapdash.
I'm not slapdash.
I know like Lucy calls me cautious Carl because I have a motorbike and I go along at about 15 miles an hour, like a sort of safety warden. But you're so, you hang off things. You don't I'm just like we're terrified everything's going to go wrong. And then you just severed your I was channeling my inner Bill, test it on something first. Good.
So I get a spare piece of wood. I go buy a bin so the sawdust doesn't go on the floor because then you get eggy. Yeah. I then start drilling with one hand. The pilot drill piece snaps without me realizing. As the circular saw hits the wood, it bites, zooms around and zooms up my thumb that I'm holding on the wood.
The scar's still there. I can still see it. The scar's still there.
There's a scar. So now, when you have that white hot heat and you're like, this is going to be a problem. But I didn't want to stop because I was invested. And I went to knock on your house pathetically, like, is anyone in? No one is in. I didn't have any keys to your house. So I had to go to the newsagent up the road. But bearing in mind my fingers cut.
It's Turkish for terrible domestic accident.
I have a really deep cut on my thumb. I put my thumb in my mouth, trying to suck the blood off. I arrive at the newsagent going, "You don't have any bandage, do you?" And he looks at me and I've just got blood all around my mouth. He gives me some free bandage. And then I come home and I'm like, I'm not going to let it stop me. I carry on. Lucy comes in to check on how I am. At that moment, I've got your fishing knife. I'm trying to cut a cable tie open and it hasn't clicked properly. And as I'm chatting to Lucy, it closes and slices the end of my thumb open through my fingernail. And that one's really deep. And Lucy's like, what have you done? I'm like, nothing. She's like, you've cut your finger, haven't you? I was like, no. She goes into the kitchen, comes out, and I'm on the floor. I've passed out.
Just going to lie down.
And she was like, did you just pass out? I was like, no. She's like, I'm going to ring Bill. Please don't ring Bill. I was like, please don't ring Bill. And then Lucy's first reaction was like, I need to give him some whiskey. And then you were like, I don't think you should give him any whiskey.
Don't give him any whiskey. No blood thinners. I'm like, what am I meant to do? You know, that's the classic call.
Yeah.
Like, shall he go to hospital or can I go? You know.
Beck was like, you're an absolute moron.
You put everything on the line for this. Some really reckless DIY.
We got there though. So that image in the background is this empty room, and then the very last slide was like the final finished room. And I think everyone I may have got too tech obsessed and I did this slide, but I was like, yeah, and that's the mixer, and that's the telly, and that's the, and they were like,
you like that. You like that.
I like the tech.
And what is quite exciting now, we've plugged in all these things so that other people can come and join us. And we've started approaching some people who are keen to come. And that will test our natural dynamic, how we can deal with...
Because Bill finished the website.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Yeah.
We had a bit of a fight this week. Ben built the website, sort of, but then couldn't get it over the line. And I'd not really given him any praise for it, or
not bitter.
I hadn't really acknowledged just how much work had got into it. Anyway, I got hold of it, got the passwords, got it all fired up, set it online, cue all the praise. Everyone, isn't this fantastic? I was like, do you know what? Maybe I am the tech guy. It's cue Ben having an absolute paddy. You know what, Bill? A proper an A4 email. Maybe.
We had a proper. I read a little tip.
I didn't even read it all. I just skimmed it, took the highlights.
But we do want to get guests on, don't we? That's the.
Yeah, we are, and we've invited them. And I don't think we'll announce it. I think we'll just go for it, and we'll stick it on the labels when the podcasts come out. But we're getting some people that are into the planning and building of larger buildings, and people that are into public sector a bit, and people who are not related to architecture. And we'll be really keen to hear from you after those episodes, whether you think they work or not. I was going to tell you what our contact details were.
Am I in the way?
At Architecture Den is our Twitter, and you can email us or at Bill at Architecture Den or Ben at Architecture Den. And please do, because we are doing, our next episode is going to be a lot of questions that we've received from people over the last couple of weeks.
That's going to be fun, actually. So we want more and more questions is what we want. And then also we want, we've had a lot of the students came up to us and said, we're not just interested in architecture, we're interested in loads of other things. So, they kind of gave us, we asked for some guest names. They gave us such a diverse range of people. So they were interested in other people who did podcasts, people who did YouTube shows. There was people like, they were like, just get anyone you're interested on. I think they liked
literally anyone, but just to water down.
I think we didn't want just going to do architecture. It's so big and vast. Why not music? Why not musicians? Why not people who are in a band or whatever? I love. No, come on. I can see you rolling your eyes a little bit, but it's all about creative entrepreneurship, right? That's what we like. Start a business.
That's true.
So
what's going to happen? I want to know what people think is going to happen in the future. People that know about particular areas and can help us become clearer about what certain elements of our lives are going to be like in the future, whether it's how we'll get our post or how we'll get to work or what work will be like or how we'll live or anything like that. Futurists, people that can give us an insight. That's
I realised if you did a Venn diagram of what we just said, there's definitely a really big overlap. And I'm like, yeah, things like this. And you're like, oh, things like this.
No, I'm into all your things, music as well.
Okay.
But do you know what? We'd quite like some ditties. If there's any aspiring musicians out there who would like to do a jingle.
We're desperate
for Bjork's Jingles.
Bjork's Jingles. I don't think we've released that. No, we've never talked about it. Come on. Come on. Go on. What's our dream?
Our dream is to have a Bjark's jingle. So each week we have a little ditty about dear Bjark, my hero. I saw him in Hyde Park walking with a friend the other day on the way to like Radio 2 gig, and I ran after him and said, I love you, basically. And he looked terrified, wide-eyed. He said, super cool, while clearly like walking backwards away from me as quickly as he could without falling over.
Recalling in terror.
Please, I did though. I can say I've met him now rather than I saw a troll-like man walking 50 yards away in Hyde Park.
We'd love to get him on, wouldn't we?
He's one of the top 5, isn't he?
So yeah, that's part of our dream big, right? So you know, we get Bjark on, that'd be great.
Yeah. So if you know him, give him a buzz.
His PA's like, yeah, I know him.
So I've been playing with the buttons today. I'm sort of new host.
How do you feel it's gone? We're at the end of the episode now, and you've been in total control.
You took the only...
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
The only choice element, which is which camera it is, you took from me.
Well, I
sat in front of the flashing lights. I've enjoyed it. Everything's pointing at me, so I feel...
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah.
I thought we'd switch it up, and I thought, you're a full control guy. You do everything. You do the website.
Yeah. Do the website. I'm the tech guy. You're the content guy.
To be honest, I do think the website looks fantastic, and you did fine, begrudgingly get it over the line, yeah. And also, if you go to it's architectureden.com, and it's got it's got Spotify episodes, it's got links to our Twitter, Instagram account, it's got all the videos that are slowly starting to get up there, and I think we're really proud of that. I think it looks great.
It's gonna get really good, yeah.
Okay, so I did want to do one thing at the end as part of my this episode is going to be called all about Ben, but it's not, but. I do. I want to get friends of the show. I want to get famous friends of the show. Okay. And you have to build these relationships, Bill. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Cruel Walk Run.
There's a guy I love who does music that I absolutely love. I want to support him, but he won't give me a t-shirt because he doesn't sell them anymore. And I want to wear them. I want to have a uniform. I want people to know what I like, Bill.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to Instagram him and he won't do it. But I thought I would tell an amusing story.
Are you using this to get free stuff already?
I've literally said, I'll buy it, but he's like, we don't have any more. And I'm like, well, send me one. I want to support. One. So I want to tell a little story. I'm going to send it to him. And if he likes it, then maybe he'll give it to me. Okay?
Okay.
Embarrassing story. And I think you'll like it. And if this works, this could set a precedent. And maybe next time you can record a message to Bjark. And then Bjark will come on. Okay, right. So you're going to like this. Do you like what I've done there?
Yeah.
So for those of you who can't see, I've stolen John Robbins' shame book. Okay, right. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to cut it out.
Okay.
It's going to work though. It's going to be great. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to enjoy this story. You ready? Dear Mr. Skills. A Skills is the name of this person, I should say. It's in the background. You should listen to him. And if we get more listeners, you're going to love it. Many years ago, I attended the festival Shindig. You were playing. I got a VIP pass and a free ticket. It was amazing. I was excited, maybe a little too excited. Halfway through your set of exquisite mashups of break beats, funky house samples, classic bangers, and the dulcet tones of mine and Bill's favourite, DMX and Ludacris, I felt compelled to tell you how much I was enjoying your set. I walked forward, I put my arm in the air, and did the thumbs up. You also looked up and responded with thumbs up. It was a moment. I could have stopped there. I wish I'd stopped there. No, I decided to go a step further. I walked my way to the front of the crowd and decided to go for a big high five. I stepped upon the barrier and went for the high five, as did you, and the rest happened in slow motion. As I leant forward to make contact, my foot slipped off the barrier. Our hands didn't connect, but instead the forward momentum of my hand sailed past yours, and I ended up brushing the mixer, and most crucially to this story, the volume slider. I brought the whole tent to total silence for a few short seconds, and was then escorted out of the tent post-haste. To this day, it's easily my top 5 most embarrassing moments. So to make amends, I want to make up for those lost seconds. So send in any music, send in anything, and we'll play it on this show, and I will make up for the thousands of lost seconds that I had.
Man, to be carried out to the booth Everyone knows what you've done. You haven't even done a kind of cool festival thing. You've ruined it.
Yeah.
Boo.
I brought a tent to silence, and next day I'd forgotten, and my friends recounted it in delicious detail to me.
Excellent. Was it fun for them, or had you ruined it for them as well?
Oh,
Because if my friend did that, I'd be desperate to tell our other mutual friends about it. That would be my overriding emotion. Like, it's embarrassing, but they are going to love this.
My mate Dave couldn't have been happier to tell that story, and everyone couldn't have been happier to remind me of that story. So in terms of stories from a festival, I think that went perfectly.
Ace Girls, get in touch.
Yes. Right. Is that it?
Yeah, bye. See you next time.
Bye.